Hey Renegades, welcome to this pitching video. We're going to go ahead and jump right into it. Some of these terms and stuff should be familiar to you guys right now, or by now. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at some things. Just like with any throwing, if you were going to throw this ball, we're going to say first base is over here. You're going to do the exact same thing. Remember how I tell you guys we tell you guys to hop yourself open. Open means your target is this way. Your belt buckle and chest and everything is going to be open to the target. Open to the target. So going forward, we're going to see he's storing up all that energy. He's keeping his belt buckle facing towards us rather than, turning it early to the plate. So he's going to take his big stride, just like if he were batting. Again, we can pretend that he's got a bat in his hands here. He's going to take his stride. He's going to get that front leg into the ground. And notice, the time that front leg gets to the ground, his belt buckle still facing us. So he's storing up all this potential energy. And the other thing I want to point out is, look at the width. We talk about creating all that width and stuff. And the reason why is we want to be like this, right? We want to get as wide as we can. And see how he's flashing the target with his glove? Flashing the target with a glove, literally creating a big wingspan. So, going forward, we want to be this guy, right? Who do we not want to be? That's what we don't want. Okay, so we're just going to go forward. And another thing I was working with you guys on was following through. I want you to watch. After he's delivered his arm, he's got all that momentum poured through this front leg. So if his belt buckle was whipping as hard as it could after he planted his leg, what has to happen? All of his momentum's coming forward. And notice that back leg. Remember I was telling you to have a big follow through like that? We want a big, free follow through to the plate. That serves two purposes. It generates easier power without having to try to overthrow with your body and with your arm and lose your balance and stuff. And it shows that you poured all your energy into the pitch, and your body, your mechanics were correct. If your mechanics aren't correct, if you're sagging like we talked about, sagging to the right and stuff, this is virtually impossible to do. If you're sagging to the right like we talked about, just like with batting, when I tell you don't sag over to the right. When you sag over to the right, it causes your spine to become curved, and that's in the weakest position. And not only the weakest position, it's the most cumbersome position. It doesn't free things up. A straightened spine is the fastest spine. It's the easiest to twist on and follow through and things like that. So just be mindful of that. And we're going to continue to go forward here, and we're going to look at some others and see if these things that we're telling you hold true. Here's another major league pitcher. There's his stride, pouring everything into the front leg. Watch that belt buckle. Stays open, open, open. Now it starts to close to the target. It starts to lead the process. So his legs have done their work. Now watch the belt take over. Belt takes over. Last thing that happens is that arm. See that? So you guys should know that by now. This is not just pitching. This is throwing mechanics in general. They're a tad different when you're pitching, but not really. It's the same motion, same principles. So let's go forward. We're going to look at this from another view. Here's what I've been talking about and been pounding home. Let's pretend, first of all, let's pretend that he's batting. Let's pretend that he's got a bat in his hand right here. One thing we've been really preaching on is making yourself tall. And if there's any confusion about that, this will clear that up immediately. When I say stay tall, I want you to look at his head. Pretend he's batting here for a minute. Remember how we talked about, we keep saying, don't sag to the right, don't sag to the right. If you sag to the right, you're going to close off your hips, you're going to make yourself slower, and you're not going to be as free and balanced, and everything's going to feel effortful. You don't want it to feel effortful. You want it to feel loose as a goose, because your mechanics are so good that everything just feels super free. Okay, so keep that in mind, and we're going to watch his head motion here like I talked about. We've been telling you, if anything, we want your head to go this way. Now let's go ahead and say he's pitching, he's throwing. Same thing as in batting. That head is going to actually go backwards a little bit because he's clearing the path so that whip action can happen with his arm, or if that was with his bat. He's clearing the path so that his belt buckle can fly through, then his chest can fly through, then his bat or his arm can fly through last. Just keep that in mind. Look at that head. Okay, let's go. All right, let's go forward, and I want you to also notice that finish like we just talked about. Free and uncumbered. That leg can come along for the ride to a nice finish. He's not off balance, but he's showing that he poured everything through the pitch under control. Okay? Okay, we're going to look at this view now. This is another pitcher. Let's take a look at his head, see if these principles hold true. Okay, he's going to wind, he's going to stride, just like if he was batting or if he was throwing. striding into the front leg. Hips take over at this point. Look at the head motion. Where does that head go? Does it ever sag this way in the process? No, not at all. If it sags that way, he's going to bind himself up. So instead, the head's going to come this way, and he's going to clear space. See that? Clearing that space so he can get that whip action. Now let's watch his finish. Let's see if he does the same thing. Why, there it is. Look, he's bringing that leg all the way through to a nice finish. Boom, principles hold true. Okay. Let's go on, look at Trevor Bauer. Rent a pitcher for the Reds last year. Let's see if it happens with him. Where does his head go? Does it fall this way? Not a chance. Not a chance. That head is going to come this way. And there it is. It's going to come this way. The belt buckle, once the leg goes to the ground, boom, the belt buckle clears. Head starts going that way. He's clearing all that space to let this whip action happen. Arm comes through dead last. Dead last. Okay? And now watch his back leg on this finish. Boom. He's poured everything through the straightened front leg. So therefore, the hips came along for the ride, and his momentum is going to make his hips follow through. And what has to happen? The leg has to come through. Boom. Finishes under control. Okay, let's look at this example. This is a great view here. And once again, we're going to see, just like if he was pitching, same thing as if he were pitching. He's going to do a stride. Same thing. Pretend if he has a bat here. He's going to do a stride. He's going to get that foot into the ground, and then look, he's going to create the width. He's going after the condor width. Boom, look at that. Wide, wide, wide. What's he not going to do? That's what he's not going to do. He's going to get nice and wide. And let's see the principles. He's not a pitcher, clearly, right? He's an outfielder. But what's he doing on the throw? Watch the head. The head is going to go to the left and clear space. Clear space. Clear space. Just like if you were batting. You guys that are sagging forward, you should really, really try to focus on this. All right? All right, so there you have it. Some reminders. And again, we want all the pitching we can get. If you want a shot at pitching, you have to let us know. And if we think you can do it, we will give you the opportunity. So you know how I like to show you the crossover sports stuff? We're going to look at Tom Brady here, and I want you to focus on something really, really interesting. And that is the motion of his head, like I've been talking about. His head actually goes to the left to clear space, just like in batting, just like in throwing, just like in pitching. There's no slouch to the right. They're super tall. Head actually goes a little bit left to clear that space, and then the hips come through and everything unfolds just the same. Pretty cool to watch.